Hello and welcome to Meet Our Makers, an artist interview podcast produced in association with Beats Per Minute. I'm your host, Jeremy J. Fassett. On this episode, we get to meet Emily Sprague. Emily is best known as the frontperson, lead lyricist, lead singer of indie folk band Florist. In this chat, Emily and I discuss mostly, because there's so much to talk about with it, the new Florist album, which is self-titled and came out back at the end of July. We talk about how it was the most collaborative album for the band, how its unique recording experience of sort of picking up and putting down instruments when they felt like it in this sort of airy, woodsy back porch led to this very insular but very together-sounding album. We talk about how improvisation butted up against more structured songs, and also how the last Florist album, Emily Alone, which was basically a solo project of Emily's, kind of dovetailed directly into this new one. We talk a little bit about what the future might hold for Florist. We talk a little bit about their surprising connection to Beyonce, and more. So thank you for listening, and please enjoy. This is me meeting Florist's Emily Sprague.
London last weekend, and kind of just like the thing happened where I got back from traveling for like an 18-hour day of traveling, and then immediately woke up the next day like starting to feel like I was getting sick.
Oh no.
And then have just kind of been at home like laying low and fighting a little bit of a cold, but
yeah,
it's not COVID, so that's nice anyway.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I know somehow I just keep saying this as if I'm not jinxing myself, but somehow I've not gotten it yet.
Yeah, me as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what's up with that, or yeah. It's same with the jinxing thing. I could be setting myself up for disaster, but
yeah, hopefully not.
Were
the London shows solo?
Yeah, it was 2 nights at the same place. One was solo Florist songs, and then one was solo like instrumental music.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you play any of the new songs on this upcoming record there?
I did. Yeah, I played a bunch of them.
Was it the first time?
So I did a tour in March. I was supporting the microphones.
Oh, okay.
That was it was like a Midwest and East Coast US tour, like 10 shows, 10 or 11 shows. And that was the first real run of shows that I've done since all these songs have existed. We played one Florist show where we played a few of them like as a full band, but yeah, so that tour in March I played, I think I played like four or five songs from off the new album. It's fun for me to play them now because they're they're new to me, so
yeah,
the newest at least,
yeah,
for the most part. So
yeah, we should mention this record we're talking about is the new Florist record. It is self-titled, also named Florist, out July 29th on Double Whammy. How long has the record been like ready to go?
We finished mixing. Well, I guess I should say we approved our masters in November.
Okay, it's not too bad.
Yeah, the record has been 80% of the record was recorded and pretty much finished as you hear it, except for the mixing in August or July of 2019.
Oh, wow.
So that aspect of it has been quite a bit of time that we've been sitting with the bulk of, I guess, the work that we did on it, just the playing and recording and stuff like that.
Right.
So basically we finished our first big, it was a month of recording. We were all living together at this house. in the Hudson Valley in New York. And we recorded for about a month together there. And most of the record, like all the instrumentals and every track, every like song track, except for two of them, was recorded at that house. And then we had a little like pickup session in 2021 last summer at one of our bandmates, sort of like his recording space out of his house. And we did a little bit of overdubs on some stuff, and we re-recorded a couple songs, and we recorded two new songs. Okay. And that was kind of like the bookending everything. Like I had written a couple new songs in that year and a half time period that I felt like I wanted to be on the record. So yeah, the whole process like ended up taking almost, 3 years. I guess it was 2 years properly. And yeah, we just took our time with everything. We had a lot of time to sit with everything and listen back to stuff, and we made a lot of rough mixes of stuff. And then when it came time to actually mix, we went into a studio and did it. And then we had some more mixing sessions after that with another person. Like it just was the whole process was really about like not rushing anything, because for whatever reason, it just felt like the right way to approach this one.
Yeah, it seems like a very natural feeling album.
Yeah.
Which could be diminished maybe if you like labored over something.
Yeah, I've heard it described that way a handful of times now. And I think it's really awesome that it sounds that way. And I do hear it that way as well. I think it's cool to have something that sounds natural that was labored over also. Like, yeah. I think that means something as well. But like, I think the thing that was labored over more than anything, I think, was just like all the like psychological elements of the music and the making process and the actual like acts of like hitting record and playing together. Like when we got the recording, I guess you could say that was the one where that felt like right. That was what we went with. That was always something that did feel really natural. Mm-hmm. And we there's a lot of stuff on the record that we edited very little, like for that reason specifically. But the decision to edit it very little, I think, was like something that was given a lot of thought.
Yeah. I guess what I mean when I say natural, in addition to all the connotations of it, but I guess what I mean is that it does sound, there's kind of an ease to the sound, and it sounds very organic. And I know that word gets overused, but it does sound like I've read the descriptions of the record. I know a lot of it was recorded at that house together, and that's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. That's perfect.
And you mentioned the core songs were actually recorded a few years back, and the time period you gave, that's around when the last Florist record came out, the Emily Alone record, which was of course just you alone.
Yeah.
Those songs must have predated these songs by a little bit, I would guess.
Yeah, they do. So yeah, so I wrote all the songs for Emily Alone in the winter of like 2018 to 2019. Mm-hmm. And I think just like the nature of that recording process had a little bit quicker of a turnaround time. It was also before, like record pressing times had gotten really extended.
Yeah.
Because of COVID and stuff. So yeah, I had written and recorded that album within the span of like 2 months. Emily Alone, it was a really like fast process in terms of the actual making. Like I had written the first couple of songs, and then I knew at that point what it was that I wanted it to be, and like what was coming from that, and what the songs were starting to mean to me. And And then I just started recording them. And as I was recording them, I would be writing more. And so it was like happening kind of all at once.
Mm.
And yeah, I spent a month recording, and then I got it mastered and I handed it in to Mike at our label, Double Whammy. And like that, I think it was that January, like I went to New York and mastered it. And then we had the masters, and it was like sent off to be printed to vinyl like by February.
Oh wow.
So yeah, and then that came out, I guess, in July of 2019.
Yeah. So they really did like butt right up against each other then, the release of that and then sort of the conception of this new one.
Yeah, exactly. So Emily Alone was a really I guess like signpost moment in my life, and also I think Florist's life as a project of like friends and collaborators. You know, it's always been something that like has been my songs that I've been bringing to the table of us working together and kind of mind melding and having this project that is so much more than really, you know, all of us individually. But it's also followed our lives in such a way for so long. Even at the time of making Emily Alone, you know, it was like 8 years or something that we had been actively working, you know, like on Florist music and practicing and playing shows and touring. And a lot of it for the first, you know, 5 years or so was like in the underground. Like it was very, very DIY, very like we just lived in that world. And that was really like a big part of Florist history. And I mean, we were super young. Like, you know, I'm the youngest of everybody in Florist. I'm 27, turning 28 in June. And when we started the band, I was 17. You know, we went on tour, and everybody else is in their 30s now. And it's like, it really was just like we were all so young, and we grew up doing this together. And so much of our stories like have been written like while this band and this project, this like life project has been happening alongside of everything. And so I just kind of started to think of Florist as that, like it's a collection of different like moments in our life that we come together and then kind of like express. You know, I'm writing lyrics, and then everybody else is contributing like sonically with these emotional flourishments, you know, these elements of like creating music. And Emily Alone was like a very different period in all of our lives. It was something that I very literally just like went and did by myself, because I was at a point in my life where, after, you know, having been basically playing music for like a decade and in a way that was kind of making it my whole life, you know, I had decided to like go on this quest to just kind of find out like why I feel the way that I feel and why the things happen the way that they do. And like it was met with a time in my life where like I had a lot of change happen all at once. And I, you know, it was just a pivotal time, just a big emotional changing time. And I started writing music, and I could feel like the rest of Florist as a part of the music, but I knew that it was something that was separate from that. And I kind of took the liberty, I think, just like as this songwriter sort of figure in the project, of being like, I'm going to release this, you know, I'm making it all by myself, but I think it's like an important part of ultimately this like documentary of our project and our lives. And yeah, we then kind of immediately started discussing making the next thing that was going to be us all together, you know, again, in a way that we really never have before, like working on the music together really closely for a durational amount of time. that was more collaborative than just me coming to like a day-to-day recording kind of schedule, saying like, okay, here's this song, like, let's record it. I'll do my part first, then everybody can do some ideas. And it's kind of always been more or less like that. And with this record, it was just completely different. Like every song we played together live, we recorded most of them together live. We worked out stuff together live. We were like, I was writing a lot of the songs in this house that we were all living in while everybody was just kind of like going through their daily like span of emotions. And the instrumentals on the record are a part of that as well. Like the way that those all happened was we had all of our equipment set up on this porch that we were recording on, and everything was plugged in and kind of at all times just ready to go. So we had no real schedule or real plan. We're very like intuitive, I think, people, and like kind of unstructured. So we would just go in and out of this space and like be working on stuff and just doing, making like a recording when it felt like the right time to make a recording, I guess. Yeah. And so Johnny, who is, one of the, I guess, like just like original members of Florist, would go out onto the porch by himself and like start working on some of his instrumental music. And this is a person who like doesn't release his own music. He should, because it's really good. But he just kind of doesn't. And Florist is like his main sort of like outlet of this like huge musical spirit of just like so many ideas and just so much amazing music like inside this person. A lot of Florist arrangements come from, Johnny's like doing counter melody and like all these like layers underneath things, experimental stuff. And anyway, so he like would go out on the porch and start working on like either a sketch of like something he's been kind of working on, or just like playing a synth or playing his guitar into his effects pedals and just making something. And then somebody would like walk in and hit record on the tape machine, because he would never hit record on himself. But somebody would just be like, Johnny, like, holy shit, what are you making? Like, this is so beautiful. And just walk in and hit record and then sit down and start playing with him. And so all the instrumentals are just that. It's like, it's this totally like just a capture of a moment, like never to be recreated, basically, of us living there and in this recording process. And the reason why we put them through the record in the way that we did also was because, the music is, there's a lot of like context in there. There's like, you could listen to everything with just the lyrics and think about like what I'm talking about, which is like both and the collaborative process and just like all this other like random stuff. But then there's just like this alchemy of like the music that is like really emphasizing the four of us together. And I think like it feels to me incomplete without those instrumentals, because the music is the way that it is because of how we recorded it and because of like who we are as people, who we are to each other. We have like these relationships that are borderline like family, we're so close that at times it's, scary, like it's so real. So yeah, we started talking about Emily Alone, how Emily Alone became about the, this like prompt to then, go right into the recording of this album. But it really was just like, I had done the thing that I felt like I needed to do, which was, tell this part of the story kind of by myself, which I hadn't done yet at that point in like my adult life. And then it was just right away, like, okay, like now we just like get back to this, like, let's go. Like everybody's ready. We
Yeah.
all kind of went through our separate journeys during that time and came back together, and it was great.
Do you feel like the new self-titled record wouldn't have been possible without that time spent making your own record alone? At least would it have ended up differently, I suppose?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely would not exist like as it does without that. Yeah.
And it's interesting you made the you said the word documentary before. And this
Yeah.
album is almost like kind of documentary style. There's like a verite quality to it. Um, and I'm assuming that this sort of togetherness and this sort of live documentation of even the generation of ideas, let alone the finessing of them, um, is kind of what you meant when I've seen this record already called the culmination of your journey as a band. Is that kind of what you meant?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that we have, like Florist, I think, has always tried to put a sound or put a string of words to a feeling that is like indescribable. That's been something that I've like always been obsessed with, and something that all of us share. And I think the thing that we're really like interrogating and unpacking with this record is, what does it mean to do something like in collaboration? What does it mean to have relationships? And like how Emily Alone is told through my perspective, and Florist, previously is told through the perspective of our lives, and music is, has a narrator always. It's like this record has that through the lens of our lives and our experiences. But the thing that I think ultimately like were like spiritually trying to do during this process was make something that really like digs its claws into that question of, why do we like have relation with people? Why do we collaborate? Why do we as humans like have this as such a deep part of our nature? And for us, it's, for us, music is the thing that gets channeled through. And the idea is that, anybody can listen to it and hear a string of words or a arrangement of sounds and then be like, oh, okay, like I'm feeling something because of this. It's making me think about, this element of my life. And yeah, it's just about that with this one. It really has been our kind of like honoring and just kind of like shouting out about this being worth it, and it being worth the all of the like complexities and confusions about like having just like having people in your life. And it being worth being raw and vulnerable about too. It being something that like is important to share. It's important to be open about. It's important to not be afraid of. It's worth it. It's worth the risk of the pain, of the loss, of everything just crumbling away one day, which it can do. It's kind of just like about all that at once.
So it is, you mentioned the instrumentals throughout. I'm assuming when you say instrumental, you're mostly referring to the sort of interlude tracks.
Yes.
Which have instruments in them, but are often also containing like field recordings and there's a lot of there's three parts of bells. But so there's 19 songs total. I'd say probably about half of them are quote unquote real songs, and the other half are the interlude instrumentals. So I'm curious then, with so much material and also so much emotionally and psychologically to mine, throughout the process, throughout the writing, which do you think was like the hardest song for you to actually like finish?
Hmm.
Or did it all come quite naturally?
Um, the hardest song to finish. No, there were definitely some that came way more easily than others.
And we should
I
mention
mean,
some of them are long songs too. Like there's a lot of meat here.
yeah, yeah, they're all pretty long. Yeah. Um, there are a couple of songs that we have like different versions of that are pretty different than the ones that are like on the actual record. Just like how we recorded them, what instruments we're playing, like just kind of everything about the arrangement. Uh, I don't know if it's how worth it is to like name exactly which ones those are, but I think for me, so the first track, not the first track, but the second track, the first song, quote unquote, Morning, Redbird Part 2 was like one of the ones that I felt the most like precious about, I guess. It was not the hardest one to make. It actually, I think, was one of the ones that came the easiest. Like that was one of the first ones we recorded during that session that month. And it's we only recorded it once. Like it's just as it is, like when we kind of just started recording it. I think I did a few different vocals or something like that, but it's like it's basically just, we didn't record something and then be like, oh, let's try it a different way. Or but the process of like that song really like being solidified on the album as it is was something that I felt difficulty like really committing to, because it really does serve for me as like a transition song between the last full band Florist album we did and this album. And that's why it's first on the record. It's kind of like this, it's almost meant to be like, once you listen to the first instrumental, that song, the second instrumental, and then when that fourth song, Spring and Hours, which is the next single, like once that song comes on, it's something like 15 minutes have gone by or something. Like it's like you're almost supposed to feel like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I've listened to like half of an album already.
Right.
And this is just I have just basically listened to the first song. That was a really like hard balance to figure out. And I think it was something that definitely a lot of thought went into.
And it sounds like you were sort of almost protective of that song.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a super personal song for me, and it's intentionally like very bare in a way that even the songs that only have like a couple instruments on them or are just me and guitar, are not even bare. And that was like a decision that was hard to make. We made that in mixing, and it was like, yeah, just kind of like really intentionally like want this to be a bit of a test of patience to listen to or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's it's always a scary decision to make those kinds of decisions where like you're releasing music and you obviously want people to enjoy listening to it. But you're making all these decisions where you're very intentionally like, there's going to be this very weird, like experimental instrumental piece in between every like folk pop song. And you're going to have to listen to that. You're going to listen to the record. And also every song is going to be 6.5 minutes long. And
oh yeah, it is not like a mixtape record.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that in and of itself was kind of the hardest like element of the record. We could have very easily like made a 40-minute or whatever the the sort of condensed version of it that was
right.
Cutting out all of the stuff that would be taken out in like radio edits or something like that. But it ultimately was, to us, the spirit of what this was written like in between those lines. So
yeah. Do most Florist songs, or do all Florist songs, start as Emily Alone songs?
Yeah, they do.
Like the lyrical ones anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the most part. I mean, there were a handful, like half of the songs on this one, the songs with lyrics, I was writing more or less like with everybody around.
Okay.
I'm not like super there were a couple songs where like Felix, who's our percussionist mainly, they also play keyboards and guitar sometimes and everything, but mostly percussion. When we play live, they play drums. Like there were a couple of songs that I played for them, like 85% finished, and we talked about some stuff and worked on some stuff and more like arranging things, like for some songs it was like, oh, don't play the guitar this way, which in the past has never quite happened that way, or just very, very different than like the Emily Alone process of me just writing the song as I would write it and then playing it as I would play it for the recording, which these ones were nothing like that really. It all became a conversation, like but yeah, for all intents and purposes, the music and the lyrics is kind of done like in that closed space of my solitude.
Yeah. So with all these interludes and almost this like collage-y aesthetic, and the album being almost an hour long, how do you end up choosing to end a record like this? Because it's so steeped in the experience of making it as well. It's kind of like you're making me feel like it's a very meta album in a way. But there's 19 songs. The 19th song is an instrumental, Johnny on the Porch. Whereas like you kind of said, like you could have released a 10 or 11 song version of this that would have been 45 minutes, just like you also could have ended with Feathers, but you don't. So I'm curious then, how does a band decide, like, well, okay, we've made so many tracks, how do we end this now?
Yeah, we actually had more.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, there was more than this. There were, I think, two songs, like my songs with lyrics and stuff, that got cut. And there were a bunch of other instrumentals that got, that didn't make it on the record. And so getting it down to 59 minutes or whatever it is was already like we were paring it down to be that. And beyond that, we got to a point where we just didn't want to compromise anymore, didn't want to cut it down anymore. I really liked the idea of bookending it with the instrumentals. And like, I think there's something about those the two tracks that are kind of introing and outroing the record they serve to me as like these atmosphere pieces that are like really like environmental, like scene setting kind of pieces, that the idea is to kind of get a listener in a headspace of being on this journey, like kind of in a specific place for this amount of time. And obviously it's open to interpretation, and like you can take that wherever you want. It's more of I guess an emotional place than a physical place, but like the emotions of being somewhere outside when it's like kind of hot and the house is like wooden and there's no air conditioning and it's summer and it's raining and it's light out really late and you're talking to people about like, some heady like stuff, and it's like just kind of like these moments in life that end up feeling really nostalgic. And I think by the time we were sequencing the record also, we were past the point of like being critical of, or not critical, but like being self-conscious of the music in the way that you are when you are kind of like making something and then just like deciding like, do I like this? Like, is this even worth anything? Like, just like the self kind of almost self-deprecating analysis of like making work. And by the time we got to sequencing the record, we had been listening to it for so long, sitting with it, listening to it for a year and a half, almost 2 years, over 2 years, like just kind of being like, you know what, like this is exactly like this one we want to be on there because like this one has always felt like this to me. Every time I listen to it, I feel this way. I always come back to it. And yeah, it just is, it's important for us to have that be a part of it and have the place be set and have this intention of the journey be there. Cause it really like, it's trying to gently push the boundaries of like music being about more than just like a catchy song to listen to,
right.
And like a place that you can go and like be really like I like durational things. I like patience and like kind of push, like testing those limits, especially now in our kind of like instant world.
Right.
And yeah, I thought it would be a good way to lay it out where you just have to like begin it and end it with these things that are, a part of it and a part of it for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely a sense of place on the record. And I'm sure those 2 tracks contribute to that quite a bit because you're right. It is like a scene setting. And then the ending is like, well, okay, thanks for coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you guys, when is this the first time you've recorded? You said this is the first time you've recorded quite like this, right?
Yeah. We've always recorded ourselves. But we've never recorded like in one like burst of time all at once. It's always been a little bit more periodic. We've never lived together all like just us while we're doing it. Mm-hmm. That was like a major part of it. So yeah, in those ways, it's definitely, we've never done it like this before.
Is it a mentality or a recording style you'd wish to do again? Or would you rather sort of mix it up?
Yeah, I think at least lately, the thing that I've been excited to explore next would be actually the 4 of us just going into a studio and having like an engineer be doing all that stuff for us. Mm-hmm. Because that's like the next thing that we've never done. We've never just like, been kind of just like relaxed going into a studio session. We've always been thinking about making it all happen ourselves. And one of us has always been kind of like, having a guitar or a bass or whatever, like plugged in and reaching over to hit record and then like starting this song. Yeah. It's always been very, very like DIY, and we all love to record. So it's all been fun, but
right.
Yeah, I think I'm interested in trying all kinds of new things now, at least.
We'll be getting like a super hi-fi Florist record.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, what would that even sound like?
Right. I don't know.
It
like
sound crazy.
If you transpose this, if you recorded this record in a very expensive studio, it would sound so different.
Yeah. Right.
The whole vibe would be different. The songs would be the same in a way, but the vibe would be different. So yeah. I'd be curious too what that would even end up sounding like.
Yeah, there's so many possibilities. I mean, I think I'm at a point with Florist as a project too, where like we have we've been doing it this way for a really long time. You know, like there were a lot of elements about this album Florist that we really changed, that I think made it what it is, that made it very different than any other Florist record. But there's a lot of elements that I think behind the scenes and to me like are still very much the same and very much how we've been doing it since like, 2012. So I'm definitely interested in trying some new stuff and just kind of like having fun with it. I think I'm not really interested in making like this record again, or any of our previous records again. So I think like, yeah, there's just more to explore. I mean, I'm like, life is short, but there's a lot to do within it. So
yeah. Are you guys planning to tour this record?
Yeah, we are. I think we're going to have a tour announced, I think within the next couple of weeks. It's
okay. So that'll probably be, I'm sure the tour will be announced before this goes up. So if you haven't gotten tickets yet, go get them.
Yeah. Yeah, we're doing a full US tour. So
that'll probably be an interesting experience too, because you'll get to sort of literally get the band back together and see really, I know you've played one show as a full band, but then once the record's out and is a living thing with other people, to kind of see how it moves when it's on the stage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, our last tour was in 2019,
which is a while ago, but we had some things come up.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, we actually started playing it, so it was right after we had finished the first kind of like session of this, and in our minds, we were going to finish that record within the year, and then history happened, and we here we are. But the tour that we did right after, it was like the month after we had finished the first recording session for this, we went on tour and we were playing a lot of the songs, and we were just like so excited to be playing them. So yeah, it's been a long time coming to do a full band tour. I'm really excited to be getting out and doing that, and everybody is excited too. Yeah, come out to the shows.
yeah, please come out to shows.
Yeah,
I know, I've been trying. I feel like I've bought more concert tickets this year alone than I probably ever have.
That's good.
It's like, we're excited. We're like,
yeah,
finally, maybe, hopefully we can go to things.
Yeah, I know, we live in an uncertain times. We got a lot of makeup work to do.
Right?
Here
Yeah. We gotta get that energy back.
Yeah, exactly.
The final question before I let you go on my notes is a silly question, but I wanted to know, how is it to just know that there's a single degree of separation between Florist and Beyonce?
Yeah.
Because for those who don't know, there is a Florist track that is used, I don't know how this all works. Beyonce is so famous, who knows like where she falls in the pecking order, but in her movie, was it her Homecoming?
Yeah.
Movie? Yeah, there's a Florist track used.
Yeah.
She has good taste. I don't know. How did that even happen?
Honestly, it was just it was like a cold call email. I have no idea. I have no idea how it it came down the chain of command, but I guess I like to think, or like I can somewhat confidently know that Beyonce has heard my music, and that I think I will just die happy just knowing that. So
yeah, it's like, even if she wasn't the one who said, let's get Florist on the phone.
Yeah.
Someone put it in there, and then she watched it and said, okay.
Yeah.
And also all her fans have now heard it too, which is really cool. And I might be misremembering, but I feel like there's a grouper song in there too.
Oh, is there?
I think so. Like the interstitial tracks
Yeah.
they used were like shockingly like astute. So
Yeah, there's somebody on that that music supervising team that's like
yeah,
tapped into the
they're like, Beyonce,
into
this
the
is
underground.
the
Yeah.
kids are listening to Florist and Grouper. Like we
Yeah.
we gotta get them. Can I call them, please? Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
yeah. It worked. It worked.
It worked.
It was a good idea.
I think it was a great
Maya
idea.
Angelou was listening, was speaking over it.
Oh my God.
So,
I didn't even realize that.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Double whammy.
Yeah.
Double whammy
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
of good things.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Emily, for talking to me. The new Florist record comes out July 29th. I'm not sure if this will be up yet or not. Either way, if it is out, go listen to it. If it's not, then go pre-order it, you cowards. Thanks for talking to me, Emily. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Jeremy. Have a good weekend.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's gonna be nice this week. Are you up in New England?
Yeah.
Sort of. I'm in Connecticut, so it's gonna be nice finally.
I know it needs to happen.
Yeah, we need to enjoy it.
Yeah, we don't even need to talk about it.
We know. Okay. Well, have a nice evening. Have a good weekend.
Thanks. Bye. You too.
Bye.